Hey, everybody. It's a brand new day. The weather here in Colorado has turned nice. I know we're not to spring yet, but, it is good. So I just wanted to say, welcome to today. Over the last few weeks, we had a brand new grandbaby. Uh, I had a birthday, and the realization of every day is a birthday. Every day we wake up, and what happens during that day and how we interpret what happens in that day that we can build from, either to build up or to go down, is really the point of today's Facebook Live. And when does loss equal gain? And that may seem like a little bit of an oxymoron, if you will, but it really isn't, because whenever we have a loss, it creates a vacuum. And it depends on what we do with that vacuum that determines what the result, the ultimate result that we have as we, really go along with the process of building our businesses, building relationships, or whatever it is that it attaches to. And you know, I wrote a blog. I'm part of a actor or actors author blog around my beaver book, How a Beaver Saved My Life. And one of the blog today that I sent over was really about the vacuum of what. There was a point where I started looking at all of the things that I had lost. And then I realized that it really was about, I did lose those, but what did I still have and what replaced the things that I really perceived that I had a loss in. And so in business, we do that as well. And when we lose, the market goes down. We've had times when the market has gone down, and the news is we've lost $2 trillion in the market. Well, as a former financial planner, the question always is, well, where did it go? How does money evaporate? But, other side than that is the picture that we're seeing in business, like with a market loss, really a loss overall? Because one of the times that I pulled up the stock market, it showed a huge loss on the graph. But I went back a little bit further, and that was a 3 month picture. I went back 1 year, and it was up 30% year over year. So what we perceived as a loss, and it started making people feel bad, instead of looking what we actually had gained over that 1 year period. Right now, we're dealing with the coronavirus. What is that doing to the world economy? What is that doing for people's outlook? How are we reaching out and really making a difference, but holding back because we are afraid of what that coronavirus, the image or the actual illness could do to ourselves, our family? Are we going to do a program? Are we going to push ourselves out and create something to be able to uh, see that we have something valuable to share? And are they going to come? Uh, the personal events in our life. What is it that we have lost maybe in a personal event or a personal connection, and how does that make us feel? What is it that we're going to do with that? And so I thought about, what are the action steps? What are the things that when I've had losses physically, personally, business wise, what have I done to really make a decision? Hey, JC, what have I done to make a decision that allows me to move forward instead of just getting stuck? Or how do I get unstuck if I find myself where I got there? Because, it's like, when I took my flight training, one of the things they said, if you have a fire in the cabin, if you have other things going wrong, the first thing that you do is fly the airplane. And that may seem like, well, duh, but when we have things that have that urgency around us, sometimes we really have a tendency to look for the manual, to do something else, to take our eyes off what it is that ultimately is going to allow us to get to where we want to go. And then consider what choice, what fills that vacuum. It's a conscious decision. What do you want to fill that vacuum? And so, like for me, let me take you back with the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. One of the things that I lost was the feelings in my hands. And because of that, I started feeling like, what did I I wasn't going to be able to touch the skin of my wife's the same. I wasn't going to be able to climb and do the bouldering the way I used to. And when I realized, though, that I had pressure in my hands, and what could I do? How do I circumvent the distraction or the inconvenience? Because I cannot do buttons on a shirt, but I can ask for help. I actually have a tool that one of my clients gave me that allows me to do the buttons. And even though it makes me feel sometimes like a little bit weird, I have this tool and I'm able to do it. And so, what do you want to feel? What is the goal? What is the purpose of having that end result that you want? And what do you need to replace that vacuum? Because the thing about a vacuum is that it has to complete itself, it has to fill in. So, whatever we have lost, there's something that will take its place. And so, what is it that you want? Facts versus media. This is something where we really get tied into that spontaneous knee-jerk reaction. I remember years ago that when President Clinton was in office, he had fallen down the stairs. He was at a golfer's home down in Florida. He had fallen down the stairs and hurt his knee, and it wasn't even surgery or anything, but it was the only news of the day, and the market went down. And so it was that feeling of emotion. What is it that I'm doing just because the media is there telling me certain things that might scare me a little bit? It's a what if. And so looking more deeply into what is going on is really something that will benefit us. Let's go a little deeper than what the rhetoric is in the media right now. Look for the opportunities. One of the things with different things that happen, there's always opportunities out there. How do we adjust to what's going on? And so let's say that with the coronavirus right now, maybe we go more into doing what I'm doing here, that one-to-many in a video where we're not going out and doing a one-on-one connection. Or how do we, really allow people to reach us? What is it that people are wanting, that they still want our good products and services, so how do we deliver it to them? So looking for those opportunities on how we can adjust. Hi, Elaine. It's been a while. Good to see you. Is really a key component here, is not just looking at the obstacle or the adversity that we're looking at or the potential obstacle, but what is it that we can adjust to that is going to allow us to continue moving forward. And then the other thing is, I've talked about this before. What is courage? And to me, it's action in the presence of fear. And in times where we have additional stress, where we have loss, we have a tendency to stop, to get, just immobilized. And momentum for me, we've talked about this as well, is I don't believe it's, fast. It doesn't mean that we're going to get there. It just means movement. And when we understand that momentum, when we totally stop, getting that momentum back becomes very, very difficult. And sometimes we are not able to even get going again if it's been something that where I've done it, it doesn't work, I've done it, I have this adversity. In fact, most people don't know that in 1988, when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, 6 months later, I was also diagnosed with the second worst case of sleep apnea in the state of Colorado. And, I'm competitive. So they told me I was the second worst, but I actually was number one because the person that had the number one moniker had passed away. But the thing is, I started looking at, well, golly, all these things are happening to me. How do I adjust to it? It's not fair and all those. But I had the courage to keep going. Hey, Jersey, I had to keep going for me because I knew that if I had stopped and I didn't have the courage without the, what's the word I'm wanting, the guarantee that the positive outcome that I'm wanting would actually happen, I wouldn't be here with you today. And so I'm really just wanting to encourage everyone that we're all going to have loss in our life, in our business, our personal, maybe in health. But what is it that there is a gain out of it? What is the thing that we can put into it that has the ability to give us a positive benefit. Because one of the things that I have always said is I would not wish my life onto anyone, but I would not change anything because I wouldn't be the man I am today if I did. And so learning to adjust to the losses, to the adversities, to the barriers or the roadblocks or the yield signs or the speed bumps, whatever we want to call it, is going to give us that ability to reach and to connect and impact, be that influencer. That's a word that has really become special to me is, are we influencers for good? Are we really doing, and showcasing and leading by example? Because there's so many people out there that need us, and the community that has really showed up, and the it is something that is a special opportunity for each of us. Jersey just asked, where did you get that inner force? I think when I actually had those things happening, I looked at my options. And the options were, let's go back to the MS. I knew that if I had taken the prognosis of the doctor, that I'd be dead. I would not be here. But by taking another possibility and moving towards something that I wanted, then I had an option. There was something else that could happen. And so to focus on the positive, something that I wanted to go towards, instead of instead of going away from something that I was afraid of, I went towards something that I wanted. And that really is an interesting and a very impactful point, because some of the time we focus on what we don't want, and then we're running away from it instead of running towards something that is going to be a benefit towards it or to us and to our family, to the people we touch in business. Many of us are coaches, speakers. What is it that we're going to leave as a legacy that is going to benefit generations that we may not even have the opportunity to meet? So guys, thank you so much for staying with, and coming on the Facebook Lives with me. It is always interesting for me to come on Thursday morning or Thursday afternoons here in Colorado, and the topics come to me in the morning. I don't have a list of topics, but I always encourage you, if you have something that you would like me to talk about, please, email me, Gary at GaryBarnesInternational.com, and I'd be happy to talk about that as well. Hey, Shelley, thanks for coming on. I just appreciate each and every one of you. You're all special. You've stuck by, when I took the hiatus from doing the Facebook Lives, and I just want to say thank you, and have a great week, and we'll see you next week on another Facebook Live. Talk to you later.